Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is NiP versus Flip. Will NiP's performance dip or will Flip be but a blip on the radar of the Swedes? We're finding out is Cash up next. We saw Overpass go the way 16-14 to the Swedes. And I've got three handsome men to talk about this next game of Counter-Strike. Guys, it is none other than Cash, a map fabled for NiP and incredible success where Threat really did kind of create his stomping grounds for the new look NiP. And I'd like you to go ahead, Jason, by setting the scene and telling us why Cash is so terrifying for opponents against NiP.
This is just a map they're very strong on. They're very comfortable with it, and it's a map that is like deceptively, because it's often called very, talked about very similarly to Dust 2, that it can be like a little bit of a puggy map, but it can also be very strategical. So there's a lot of different playstyles for it. But with someone like Threat coming in with NiP, the way they've been able to start using their Molotovs, clear map control, smokes, flashes. I mean, there's everywhere you go on Cash, you can essentially use those nades to clear out a crossfire to push back any aggression. So it can be extremely tactical with the right mind behind it, and that's exactly the playstyle of Threat and NiP.
Is that it, Janko? Is it just come down to Threat being very comfortable on the map alongside the players? It's kind of personal preference, or is there a bit more to it?
I think it suits NiP's new playstyle. I feel it's probably my favorite map to watch nowadays because it's a really active map. There's a lot of things you can do on it. Maybe a complete opposite of Cobblestone, let's say, where we say that on the CT side there's not much you can do in terms of aggression. On Cash, there's a number of things you can do. There's a lot of different setups, and I feel that NiP is really good at, using different setups at different times, finding the right moment for each one of them. And on the T side, definitely pay attention to how they handle the area towards the B bomb side, the checkers area, where Getright will sometimes by himself try and take early control. Yeah, on T side, try and take early control of that checkers area and apply pressure to their opponents.
So I guess just a bit of a comfortable one for Get Right in the lurk role. Anything else to add to that pile of success for NiP, Dan?
Well, I think actually there might be a small chance here because obviously usually what would be expected is actually the ban of Cash when it comes from Flipside's perspective. That's actually, I think, what NiP were expecting going into this. So when it comes to the preparation perspective, when they're looking at demos, I know that they were looking at a lot of demos coming into this. That's not a demo, that they would really be thinking of watching as far as Flipside are concerned. And on top of that, because, it's so frequently banned against them, they are generally less prepared on Cash than usual. So they're going to have to dip to some of the stuff that they are, more used to. They don't have anything necessarily too new to go to. That's something that might really play into the favor of Blade, who is he really understands actually how NiP work. And this is how they were able to have such a close game against them when Threat stood in at the last major.
Interesting point, especially considering when we do talk about Flipside, we say they have, structure and they're very homework heavy. I mean, there's plenty of examples of NiP's Cash out there. Flipside, would there be a way to build a counter into Cash? I'm not suggesting, you've got that coach mindset, but there's always going to be weak points in every team's play, surely. Something to exploit? Yeah,
well, one thing they can do, because NiP generally is very slow on maps, is if they can be successful with their aggression as CT. I mean, it is kind of like a very double-edged sword, because if you can be aggressive, the slow playstyle on the T side is designed to basically prevent yourself from getting punished from that kind of aggression. But if there is aggression where they can get a pick and maintain a man advantage and just hold control of the door, hold control of A main as CT, then all of a sudden you've denied map control to NiP. So you can really kind of funnel them to where you want them to go on that CT side. But it is a very dangerous game because NiP, I mean, they're going to be used to this kind of slow playstyle. They know how to punish things like that. So, I mean, it is a very dangerous thing for them to try.
Janko, isn't that quite uncharacteristic of Flipside? You don't normally see particular aggression coming out from them. Would you describe them as quite a reserved team?
I think they're more of a reserve team, especially on Cash, and when they start playing on the T side. From what I most remember about their T side of Cash, that they're most of the time just run a straight default and wait for a pretty long time, try to maybe, if the CTs go for some aggression, they want to punish them for that, and eventually Blade makes a call whether they want to go, and it's pretty late into the round. So if NiP has an idea of that, maybe it works to their benefit, as they can save their grenades for later on in the round. But I feel that this is just in general NiP's playground.
An open and shut case for us here at the desk. I do want to just clarify that with predictions. You had a little bit of an inkling for Flipside, Dan. You're the only one I'm going to ask. Are you backing up that claim with a prediction for Flipside win?
I won't, but what I will say is that one thing is that G2 obviously had that strong result at crushing NiP. That's actually a lot for Flipside to work with, because NiP kind of knew what G2 were doing, but they still couldn't stop it. That's actually what NiP came out with as an answer to why they lost after that game.
A good point. Some strong individuals from Flipside are going to have to go ahead and go crazy, or will their homework pay off? Either way, it is time to see how map 2 here of our third game of the day, excuse me, our second game of the day. It's gone so damn fast. Let's go ahead and have a quick look with our casters Pansy and Blue after a quick break.
No break this time. We're going straight in just to catch Alex out.
Too.
He thought he was comfortable. Never get comfortable. No, let's break this down because actually this is going to be a really interesting match. One, I don't think many of us expected to see Cash in this instance because, well, NiP classically extremely strong in it, but it was said on the desk, if you're Flipside, you've got to come into this game with a mindset or a plan to try and counter NiP's strengths here because they are so good at it.
I feel like the biggest problem for Flipside, just looking at that last match from a very general standpoint, was just how hesitant they became on their T side. They had the raw fragging power, those needed to push against NiP's defenses, and it seemed like at the end, that very last round probably is one of the best examples. They all of a sudden just hesitated. They didn't feel like they had the power that was needed to take down those Titans, and ended up being the death of them because they left themselves with so little time to move into those sites and whatnot. They were never really able to find those entries just because of the time was being so limited there. So if they can just kind of brew that confidence back and be able to push into those sites a bit faster, then we may be able to see them bring the heat much better and maybe even take a map off the Ninjas here. But we are getting into the map though, with the Ninjas starting off on the T side and Flipside jumping onto the defense. So let's get into the mix of things here.
I'm interested to see how they come about this because NiP have not necessarily very, I wouldn't say basic plays, but they do the same plays over and over again to some degree, and they work out extremely well. And I'm wondering how Flipside read into this, because this A-hit has been done time and time again. Pit, you will almost certainly see, more often than not, by that squeaky door. This is what it comes to. Blade already seems prepared for this. And you can see the setup play already coming into practice. Walden is the only one to get a kill out the back of it so far, but he's going to find more as well. Pit gets caught up by the door. And now we're in a 4v3. It looks like Flipside have a good read on this so far.
Moving into it, Flipside playing for the retake here as the Ninjas have taken control of the A-bomb site, looking to get the bomb onto the ground themselves, but they still have a World Editor to deal with. He finds one kill. A quick response coming out from Exist nonetheless, but they move into the site. Another one from Shard. They're holding it. Exist, the last one up and running with only 5 HP. Out of ammo, has to go over the reload, and they're going to box him in now. It's Markelov that finishes the job and gives Flipside the pistol.
So well positioned as well. It looked like Flipside almost instantaneously were almost positioned for the retake, go for a quick fight on the first few. If they can stop that, great. But the others so well set to play into that retake. Then Flipside very well done on the read there. Again, though, it's NiP. Sometimes you know what they're doing, but can you stop them? This is another thing that could happen to them, but we're going to have to wait and find out. I'm so glad that YNK pointed out as well how good Get Right is on that B-lurk. That's something that's so fundamentally brilliant to this guy. It's not the fact he'll trade out 1-for-1 and get, you know, maybe an advantage or whatever on the T side. It's the fact he does more than that. He will literally get the whole site under wraps by himself, but this is probably another round you're going to see it, or he shouldn't see it by himself, because, well, he does have the UMP, he does have a bit of armor, but there are two players positioned waiting for this. There is the likes of Markov, there is Shara falling back towards the site, but so little utility. One smoke can exist, and that's it.
The second round force, of course, from the Ninjas. We'll see what kind of power it can bring to the table. But right now, they are just taking their time. The default setup, holding back, looking to see if they can grab a pick or two here, punishing any over-aggression from Flipside, but similarly to what we saw back on the last map there, they are not giving the Ninjas any of that. They're sitting back. Waylander currently alone in the A-bomb site. They're expecting this to be further towards the B site, and, well, nicely played from Blade there. A nice grenade tossed directly out and finishes it off with the spray.
Gotta be careful though. Forrest has got himself already out in mid, so he can get ahead of the step almost there, but get spot out. So Blade's gonna back away, say, all right, you guys take mid control. Let's see where we can build from this. There is still the threat of Pit playing through that squeaky door over by A, but he's yet to come into towards this one. And look how quickly Flipside fall away from these sites. They don't want to be taking these very up close and personal fights. They're respecting what NiP have here to a degree. They're going to try and watch those crosses, play for that retake if required, and Exist taking up highway control means it's going to be incredibly hard for anyone to do some initial work here. But Waylander's found it. Great timing coming out of Connector, and Blade not exactly with the ideal gun here. That MP7 will not succeed in this, but the USP might.
Nope, Forrest is going to be able to take him down. Denies it entirely, eliminating Blade, and now Forrest still up and running for Flipside. They're moving in for the retake. Get Right holds the line for a little bit here as he eliminates World Edit, trying to hold it close too with the triple tap on the Glock. That's not going to work so well though. Markelov eliminating him. Pit's the last one up and running. He's hit through the box, down at 19 HP. Almost had the opportunity to find one more kill there against Waylander, but Flipside do still close it out, albeit with some very large damage being done to Flipside.
Yeah, very costly round coming through there. Not the smooth sail that I can imagine they'd want, but a round nevertheless. And that's all you can hope for at this point, is try and keep themselves in the best position possible to go forward and keeping NiP away as much as they can. But a plant came in at the end there, so another good bit of a, I guess, step in the right direction for NiP. They're going to go back into a interesting buy. Now I wonder, where are these mollies going to get used towards? This is always interesting because everyone started to love the threat effect with that hit towards A. Generally kind of an anti-eco play almost, or what they did on quite some time ago, but I'm maybe wondering if this could be a B hit. This is something that we saw the likes of G2 having when Existence was there. These kind of really nice molly-style hits where they molly off all the corners, divide the site into these really close quarters areas, and play off the back of it. So I'm hoping for that. It'd be really nice to see that in the arsenal for NiP here.
This is going to be an interesting buy overall, with it being on the third one here and forcing up entirely. Shara, along with Markelov, holding on to the B-bomb side and even getting some support from World Edit up towards Heaven here too. The Ninjas will try to line up the take. The Molotovs and smokes do start to go into the site. It's going to be Get Right that leads the charge, and Markelov almost being eliminated there, but the smoke saves him for now. But these two are boxed into the corner. They've got nowhere to run. We can see some more presence coming back in. There's World Edit taking down Get Right. Shara finding a second kill after managing to survive the flames from previous, but Freiburg finding another pick up there. Markelov with an additional trade, and Forrest picking up another one. They're still managing to make this work into a 2-on-2, but the retake comes in quickly enough. And for Waylander and World Edit, they do stop the madness there and pick up a third round for Flipside.
And credit to Markelov and Shara above and beyond most, because they stayed alive so long, they allowed the rotates to get into a position they could do something with. They extinguished the fire that went towards headshot, so it allowed them a little bit more of room, but then the molly towards that back box, the back left of sight almost got Shara down and out. So again, I really like the idea from NiP. It's a really cool plan, but it's pretty costly. It's not a cheap one to run, so they're back onto the P250s, a deagle or two here and there, but you saw the potential in that. But again, Flipside just weathering the storm, which was the more impressive part. So Get Right going to go for a cheeky play down towards B. No opening opportunities. Shara going to get himself way through towards checkers quite early on. Markelov playing on the kind of crossfire point of headshot, but Shara needs to be careful not to overextend here, and there's the first step towards it. Gives away his spot as well. Going to nade to follow, but Get Right wants to get into his face and try and take him down.
Shara still hanging around just outside of checkers. Nicely done with the pop flash, and dodging death as he gets himself out of there. Nice flash, and there's another one too that completely blinds a lot of the members of NiP. Unfortunately, Freiburg won't be, and he is able to connect the eagle shot from around the corner, finally finishing off Shara.
And these rotates have been pretty fast coming out from Flipside. If they could exploit that for NiP, it could be good for them, but it seems unlikely. Look at Waylander still holding his own over by Trug just in case. With Pitt still alive, I guess you're always kind of wondering, is he here this time? You know, there's still that squeaky door. I'm not leaving it, but NiP going to have to just go back to what they can. If they can catch anyone out, maybe try and make a quick play or try and play towards a plant, that'd be perfect. But the positioning from Flipside already seems so well accounting for that. This is a brilliant start for Flipside. This is not a map you'd argue every day of the week should be theirs, but great deals of damage towards Blade. He's going to have to back away and depend on World Edit to keep him safe. But will he spot out Forrest? Yes. But he doesn't connect cleanly, so again, more damage comes out. Two players looking a little worse here.
There's a messy sprays in the round from Flipside, and these players aren't really moving very fast or anything either. Finally, there's a good connection from Waylander, though, to take down Forrest. And the final two are trying to push into the A site. They may actually be able to scourge together a plant there because of the fact that these guys are so low, and not only are they going to get a plant, but at least one more kill comes out. Pitt takes down Waylander, and we're into a 2-on-3.
And Pitt's actually a bit of a deagle master at times as well. That's what I'm hoping to see. He's not going to get the chance this time, but a good start into it. But still, even getting this plant is ridiculous. That's a lot of freedom given over just by some bad sprays, allowing them across the site with no utility to do it. The defuse will come in, and a round's around, I guess. But NiP given a little bit more rope than maybe Flipside would want in that.
Interesting story with Pitt, for those that remember his time on what is now Winter Fox in the North American side, because of how good he was with the Deagle. And I think a lot of his teammates started to work with the Deagles too, so for a time it actually influenced the rest of that squad to where, like, whenever they were on an eco round, it would almost always be like Deagle buys for those guys because of the fact of just how effective Pitt was able to be with his when he was still on the team.
Yeah, I remember talking to him about it, because this is when the Deagle wasn't as kind of prevalent, I guess, at the top tier of the end of the scene. It's just because he felt so comfortable to kind of take a shot back away in the right situation. That gun can do so much work. But that aside, we're back into this one, and this is the buy we've been looking for. Again, Flipside leading the way so far, 4-0, good rounds, not necessarily clean, but getting the job done, and that's all that matters. So we are looking like we're seeing the NiP default come through to fruition. We've got Pitt over by Squeaky, just playing it carefully in case anyone tries to push up. You've got Get Right lurking over by B. Again, this man can have great success here. Never write him out, even if there's numbers against him. Already getting a bit of damage towards Shara. Gonna have to back off from that as the spray comes in. But three players postured towards B instantly from Flipside. Might try and push one forward and back away, but the double smokes in mid going to avert all the attention away from A for a quick second, but it's Waylander to take the quick swing out, and Forrest just caught out in the open. What was that? Maybe trying to play ahead of the smokes, try and use that mid play as a distraction, and now Waylander allowed more. Clean trades effectively coming in for Flipside, no one able to respond. Waylander's still alive, and Get Right gets caught in the heels, and it's just out of Freiburg. This is a brilliant round from Flipside. Freiburg has to do some miracle plays. He merely gets two. Flipside There we go. This is the Flipside we were looking for.
The timing in that round specifically from Flipside on all of their pushes out just completely countered the Ninjas. We see the first one that comes out and just destroys, I believe it's Markaloff that finds the first pick up there, but then as well, Get Right's going to get flashed, so he's not able to help with the trades. We see Waylander pushing up for more frags there, and then as soon as it looks like Get Right's actually going to be able to move in and completely take down Waylander, he gets support pushed out from Z, so very well played on the timing from all these peaks on Flipside, and it completely destroys NiP.
And so far, NiP haven't really had much of a step towards this one. They've got a couple of plants here and there. They've been working their way in, but this is what was discussed on the desk. The theory that maybe there's something in mind by Flipside. They've been putting in those hard work, those hard hours, and you can see Wild at it. He knows Get Right's going to be here. Everyone knows Get Right's going to be here, but how long do you dedicate that whole player to that one spot? We're going to find out here, because already Flipside actually not really dedicating towards A at all. It's just been Waylanders out there.
And now looking at NiP once again as they try to line things up. It's still being held back. Forest, though, already peeking out towards the A-bomb site. Getting a lot of freedom in this respect, but the Molotov comes in, and that is going to hold him back for a few more moments here. Ultimately, though, it doesn't block off the whole doorway, even though they do take a bit more damage from it. Now they'll start to creep their way out. Waylander again, finding the first shot, though, eliminating Forest, and this is going to hold back the rest of them, too, because they're down a man already. They don't have a whole lot of room to work with. I like what we're seeing from Existent. Oh, just drops right back down, finds a position on Markaloff, and Pitt follows it up with 2 more after that.
Finally, that mildly offset hit, then waiting for those smokes to dissipate, waiting for themselves to take those shots, pays off for NiP, but it's down to Wilder and Shara. And Shara's not really in a position to do much from. You can see NiP just really hunkering down inside itself, and there you go. There's the nod to this round looks over and done with, at least for us. It's a back away time, keep those AWPs into hand, keep that rifle with Shara, and, well, let NiP get the first one on the board. That still looked dangerous. As soon as you see Waylander finding room to work, no one finding challenges towards him, you've got to always start worrying, but then Exist hitting that 6th shot as well, certainly going to help things here.
Flipside finally dropping around here, but still looking good to save at least 2 of their players, and this is going to be great too, because, well, they've got about 2 players that really can't afford rebuys. Shara is going to be in a bit lower of a position, but with the money they get at the end of this round, he should have enough now to be able to drop a rifle for one of his teammates there, and that puts them right back into another full gun round. This was a great shot from Exist. He actually believe he saw Markaloff before he dropped back down, which is why he was able to get it, but still transferring as well over to the truck angle. Very well played from him.
And this so far has been a lovely display from Flipside. That round seemed to work out very nicely for NiP, but then imagine what would happen if they had that additional player on the retake or was able to do a little bit more. Lots of if, buts, and maybes, but we are going to see the full buy from NiP now. A lot of utility. This is the big difference in my eyes, is how do they utilize those mollies? Are they going to try and build a big site hit from it? Are they going to play the default and then maybe build an A from it? We're going to find out, and look at this aggression. This is what we wanted on the desk as well. The CT side maybe trying to push on these extremities throughout the map. That being Shara, Wilder, even supported by Markaloff. They pushed out a touch and then backed away. But look at NiP. I don't know if this is just a brilliant guess, a brilliant read, a brilliant bit of intuition, but they know what's coming their way, but they might not be expecting it. Here we go. Shara has the perfect chance, but he can't take it. Freiburg overwhelms him, and now NiP have the player advantage. Do they press this on?
Markaloff unloading the whole clip there in hopes of trying to return some damage on NiP, but none of it being found. Has to fall back onto the site. NiP are holding back for the time being, but that's going to be a great shot from Royal that has a little bit of vision to see through that smoke. And he punishes Get Right with it. Hopping back through, though, Freiburg able to escape death. Does not get hit by the second shot coming out there from World at it. However, things will now be evened out into a 4-on-4.
And it looked like they weren't sure if they really wanted to go for that hit. Of course, Get Right, but Get Right being the sacrifice off the back of that. But it looks like here's the adjustment. They're all coming back around towards A. Looks like the default smoke's being lined up. They still have, oh, they only have 1 molly, and that's with Exist, so they can't do that kind of infamous NiP hit, but they can still do the kind of same smokes coming through. There was an occasion when they were whiffing that top smoke that goes up towards the top balcony, but hopefully for them it lands. It is certainly in place, but do they commit? Again, look at this boost. 2 through mid, 2 going elsewhere as well to greet Forest with a smile. Exist or he sneaks past a little here, and Pitt has to play his role. He has to be a factor in this. Otherwise, Waylander and Blade can turn attention and just trash the guys coming up highway. There we go, finds 1, but it's not enough. And Blade will find 3. A swift dispatching of the Ninjas trying to make their way through.
It looked like it was going to start out great from Flipside there with that 1-2 position they had with Blade and Waylander hiding in the corner, but it's denied initially. We're all at it finding some great shots early in the round 2 and denying that presence and the initial push out from mid. Then, though, when things start to fall apart on the A-bomb site, it is Blade that comes back in, picks up the big kills, and restores the lead for Flipside here. Ninjas, though, are not done buying just yet. NiP are going into this round with 3 AKs, a Tech 9, and a Deagle on Pitt.
Yeah, their money's been actually pretty decent considering the amount of plants they've had. They've been able to keep some of these buys coming through, but they might have to go to just kind of a bit of a cleaner hit pace almost. You got the anti-flash going out from Get Right, maybe expecting some aggression towards main, but just gonna go for the hit off the back of it. There we go. This is what I kind of want to see. It looks like they've been playing towards Flipside's plan, but the play is going to come through. Waylander still has a role to be played. The flash comes out. It's well timed, and it is well placed aggression from Waylander again. 3 back-to-back for him, leaving Pit and Exist reeling off the back of that impact.
Pit, the last one up running now. He finds one pickup with the AK. It's a good range to try and retrieve the bomb, but ultimately he's going to be surrounded here. Tries to adjust his aim, grabs the headshot in the world, then rounds the corner where he can get ready for the next one. Closes out the round. 7-1 for Flipside now. Granted, still taking a lot of damage. Still a lot of heavy trades coming in the favor of NiP here, so the money's not necessarily growing for the CT side, but at the very least, they're keeping the rounds in huge scores in their favor, which is what they need right now going into the second half specifically.
And this is an outstanding performance from Flipside. Let's be very honest here. We would argue that this is an NiP map that's very strong. Often it's banned out against NiP. It doesn't often get played. Flipside aren't exactly known for their big cash game. For them to come out like this, it looks like they have definitely been doing their homework, and it is certainly paying off and then some. To be 7-1 up, this is huge for those guys. And we are seeing the final crumble of the money that was kept rolling back in towards the NiP bank just off the back of those plants. A couple of deagles, and that is it. So it's going to be looking like they want to go for the A hit just to get the plant, get as close as they can towards the site. But Waylander and Blade have been huge so far.
Lining up again from NiP. It's going to be a push heading into the A-bomb site. Waylander actually a little bit passive. I think he knows something's broiling to push into this site. Pit looking for the shot with the deagle, but it actually edges off the door just a little bit there. And now he can move back in. A second kill, trying to transfer it into a third, and he succeeds. Not only this, but with World at it, grabbing Freiburg and the last man standing for NiP. It's going to be a very quick and a very clean round for Flipside Tactics.
I'd love to see the stats of how many times, you know, a team's been up this drastically on NiP on this map specifically. Of course, NiP have had some blistering comebacks, but this is a very condemning scoreline to begin with. At 8-1, NiP need to find more here. They need to get these buys coming up with something more than just plants. They're not favoring themselves through the retakes either. They're just falling down the wayside. But let's see if the aggression comes out again. We've got a UMP with Shara. Wondering where that's going to go.
Now for Forrest, moving very quickly to get himself with some vision inside of A main again. Hasn't actually been, just to note that, but World at it again, finding that first kill. There hasn't actually been a whole lot of aggression coming out from Flipside in the general area of A main, like look for frags in this direction. But right now we're having some more battles come out there as Pit and Waylander both drop each other very low. Waylander down at 18 and Pit now at 30. As the combat gets started very quickly, are both teams wanting to try and grab a piece of the action very early on.
And I wonder, how long until NiP run out of ideas here? How deep does that threat book go? We've got the double smokes mid, so either going to isolate anyone pushed up close or just deny any sort of vision towards what the T's are up to. So they could form a B hit off this, but then Shara and Markloff don't seem too pressured right now. They're still just sitting back perfectly fine here. Exist, going to push himself up towards that white box. Everyone else going to be positioning, it looks like towards a nade. You've got Freiburg and Forrest coming right back around. Pit's still there, so Exist's role is just going to cut off Highway, I can imagine, more than anything. There we go, he actually gets spot out by Blade, so that could ruin some of this plan. Unless he gets the kill, and he doesn't. Blade's going to do the work, but Pit can't find a player just yet. They're tucked in on the side itself. It's Waylander, World Edit and Waylander, should I say, and finally they go down. Finally it's broken, but it took some time in the making. Pit maybe overextending, they're trying to find more. The molly didn't actually go off in the end.
Hits the top, so I don't think the flames were able to spread well enough. Pit, though, still the last man alive, and he's got a 1-on-3 to work against. Only 20 seconds left to do it. So Shara walking in, there's the shot from Pit. He finds another kill, but now 3 HP. I feel like at this point, yep, the focus is going to be to get that bomb on the ground, get the extra cash. So with that going down, Flipside, they'll be clear to push back in. Pit is just going to retire, hiding into the back of quad here. Flipside even seem a little bit hesitant in this regard, too. They don't know what to expect going in. They've got to figure out where he is. Both of them still have kits, thankfully, but he peeks out, not able to find that headshot. Markaloff is going to take him down. There'll be plenty of time left for the defuse, and Flipside will continue to dominate this CT side against NiP.
Where's the timeout? I don't know. I don't know if this needs to come in soon. I kind of hope it does in a way. Just banging your head against the wall isn't going to help out here. NiP are just running dry on not necessarily ideas, but it seems like it's been done before. We often talk about how much we enjoy the NiP side, but it does give you a lot of research material. It's what everyone loves to look into. It's like, oh, this is that same play that they make before. This is how they approach their kind of, I don't know, in third round, how they like to play it out if they lose this instance. It's so rinse and repeat that if you give someone like Blade the opportunity, it's a theory craft on the desk, but now we're seeing the actual practice paying off. and it's the same hit again.
Here's the thing though, these rounds are still very close. Every single round except for the eco that NiP did on round 9, the pistol round, and the first gun round has left Flipside with just 2 players left alive at the end of every single one up to this point. So I feel like the Ninjas still are feeling like they're getting this close to closing out the round, and then they just fail in that last stride to find those final 2 kills, which may explain why they just keep going out of here. They keep going for these guys, they keep going into these rounds, and they haven't felt the necessary need to go for a pause yet.
Might be feeling it soon if it gets to 10-1. Double smokes mid again. And it looks like possibly a B play, considering where Forest is coming around towards. They're playing default for quite some time here. Wilded it, seeing no one up by boost. Normally Forest has been kind of tendering with that idea, and it does look like B hit's going to come in. 2 through mid, 3 through those B halls. Already the information starting to pour through, and look at Shara's positioning, instantly knowing what's coming, but he has to depend on Markov to help him out, and no one's there. The pour through comes in, and the shots eventually hit. Finally, NiP have a step in. They have an advantage into this round. Voldic going to watch the push, though. Gets the pick towards Pit, and now watches for more. The molly burns beside him, but he's still going to be standing, and he still gets the fight. One man crosses. That could have been huge, but it's down to a 2v2. There is still time here for both sides.
He's still allowed to stand up for so long. That molly pushed him inside of the CT main area, and now Exist tries to get aggressive, but that backfires in a huge margin. Get right, though. He's going to creep underneath of Heaven now, and the Molotov to deny access for Blade. That's going to push him back. He's got a great angle to stop Waylander if he doesn't expect Get Right to be playing for this position in checkers. The plant position is not perfect. They can sneak behind it, but Waylander just denies all of that clutch ability, moves in, and he'll have the kit to find the defuse. Flipside are still striking, and again, another round where there's 2 left alive at the end of it, and it comes down to a clutch. 10-1 now. Flipside are in double digits against NiP.
These retakes have been absolutely crisp from Flipside. You know, you can say they're reading the tactics that I've done, but also you cannot underestimate what they're doing to NiP here. Normally you see these guys kind of flourishing in these situations. You know, you see Get Right often clutching. You see, you know, like Forest coming up with some big work. Pit as well, often known for, you know, having some really big impact here and there. Now, that's all by the wayside. It doesn't seem to matter. This is brilliant from Flipside, and it is close, but close doesn't win you games at the end of the day. Close gives you false hope. It keeps you going back in on rounds that just aren't going your favor. And look at this scoreline, it's huge. This looks like a third map is on the horizon, Blue. This looks like we're going all the way in this matchup. And I can imagine those other teams waiting in the wings going, oh Lord, Flipside, how dare you come into this looking so good? And now here we go.
Basically,
again, having to come into this one.
Rip the schedule that we had.
Oh yeah, you better be in for a long night, guys. Get yourself like a nice, you know, bucket of popcorn, kick back, because this one's seemingly going to go all the way.
So getting into this round, of course, we take a look at NiP, and they are trying to posture up to push their way out through middle there. A boost coming in. Waylander is going to be your point man to try and stop a lot of this coming out from the garage area, and even the boost too. Smokes to cover a lot of it. Waylander's actually pushed out of position, but he finds the first kill, looking for the second, but the spray is off. Forest catches the trade, takes down Waylander. Now it's Blade behind the white box looking for a response, and they're going to counter boost. Look at this from Shara. Just destroys Exists and Forest. It was looking great for NiP, but now again, another counter comes out from Flipside.
Oh, this is just beautiful. This is just absolute mastercraft coming out from Flipside. That play towards mid, that double smoke hadn't been fully kind of tested or exploited. Waylander got picked up, and it's Shara from the vents again with the perfect support work coming out eventually. He hadn't had to do that thus far. They hadn't really made a quick play through that smoke in mid and there. But is this not a little late in the day? But they're going to have to do it at some point, I guess, because going in with 1 round on the second half is just purely not enough. And my word, Flipside, you have earned a lot of fans off of this one, and wow, what a brilliant game so far.
Also doing it too on a very peculiar round, because you look at the money that these guys have, and it's not like really great right now to try and force up here. So realistically, if we still continue on the path of Flipside winning every single round for the rest of this half, that's going to place them in a position where this pause is really only to use it for 1 single gun round and 1 force coming up on the final round there. It's not great. They definitely should have done it a few rounds back, but I mean, that was the first time in a gun round, like I said before, with a couple exceptions I mentioned earlier, where we had Flipside taking it that dominantly, and they just look like they completely countered out NiP's strat.
And this is quite interesting, right? It's like when you come in as a team who's favored on the site, or on the map, should I say, it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with as a counter to the counter against them. Because how many teams have done this? How many times has threat been really pushed in their positions? They've normally had such a lovely kind of fallback to go to. The individual starts stepping up. You see Get Right having brilliant success. He's not really had much of a step towards it. Those B guys have had him completely locked out. So again, I'm just interested to see how deep this now goes to, because Blade has worked out everything. You can see this guy, that mind's ticking away, the cogs are turning. This guy knows exactly what's coming up. And I wonder if they're going to maybe even throw just a curveball in. We haven't seen much of that aggression on the CT side yet. Another factor that was brought up on the desk is that you can always kind of throw it in, whether it be a play through Squeaky, you know, push up, you know, the pot flashes through main. and the B play, of course. And there's so much on this map that allows for it. We saw one round, I think, where we saw the AWP and kind of supported by one other. I think it was with Shara, pushing through B, taking a little bit of a fight, and then backing away. They've barely gone to this, so there's so much variety left with Flipside. This is incredibly exciting to watch.
There's been really no reason, though, for Flipside to go for heavy aggression, because every time NiP try to start a take here, it's either Waylander or World Edit, or the two combined that just bring a show-stopping performance and bring it to a halt, basically. Unless they can take those two down right from the front, if you look at the scoreboard right now, it's a very top-heavy performance from World Edit and Waylander. They're both of them sitting at 19 and 17 frags, and then Markelov, Blade, and Char are sitting at 7 or less between the three of them. So if they're able to take those two down right from the front before they trade like 2 or 3 players off, then yeah, they're gonna have a great chance to actually close out the round. But because they've been unable to do that, and we consistently see so many frags coming out for Flipside and those 2 key players from Flipside, they're always just destroying NiP before they get anywhere.
So, if there was any win conditions you would look towards, is 1, you want the anti-strat, and 2, you want your big guns to be firing, right? For Flipside, they pretty much got everything going their way, and this could be the near-on, I guess, quote-unquote, classic hit when they're on these kind of like lower buys. They like to smoke at the side, molly out a couple of corners, force the CTs into really unfavorable positions. And it looks like we're seeing it again, so this has to be noted by Blade. He's got to know what's coming his way, but can he exploit it? Can he find a way to play around it? Already, Waylander's found room to work. He's cut off one approach. That's Get Right gone. There's Blade again. This is just coming undone piece by piece here.
They've managed to force the plan at the very least, and again, with the light buy coming in here, that's going to be your big mission. Now they've got to hold it, though, with the final 3. Forest, Pit, Freiberg looking to move in. Some good damage being done to Waylander, but World Edit working with the up. Freiberg trades out on a Waylander dispatching of him, but he walks into the Molotov. Goodbye, Freiberg, and now it's just Forest holding back behind Quad here. He's going to be able to peek out. There's the element of surprise, ducking down 1 player. 3 more to go to try to eliminate it, but it's Markelov leaping down from the top. Flipside pull off yet another retake, heading 12-1 now to jump into the final 2 rounds of the half.
Freiberg just can't take the shame. He's like, I'll just take myself out. Just play me off. 12-1. I can't help but smile at this scoreline. Don't get me wrong, you know, it is beautiful to watch NiP being good at this map, but it's such a brilliant thing to see it being undone, because it then forces NiP to come back even stronger in the future. So yeah, this is going to take us to a 3rd map if it keeps up in any way near this direction. First time we're really seeing an AWP coming out as well. We haven't seen much of it, really. Forest going to be picking that one up to play, but this is just trying to get onto those last couple of moments in this game, at least in this half. 12-1 is such a big scoreline that Forest not going to be gifted an opportunity, but we're seeing the aggression towards mid from Waylander. Last time around, they did that double smoke towards mid. He did the 1-for-1 trade, but then Shara came in. But now Shara's being pressured further. This is better, but Shara still stands, gets the better of Get Right a touch, but will he expect a quick push-up?
He didn't
see him.
In. Let's look at Shara. He finds that first kill, picks it up. Trading out for the gun, too. He's going to find the AK. Waylander is still sitting happily in the vents, so no pressure from mid's going to be coming anytime soon. And, well, not the best start for NiP.
Joe, as soon as I say how good Get Right is at doing that B take, oh, he's just a master at it. He's, you know, god tier. All right, let me just never check the box. Okay.
It's a free kill for Shara. Okay. Again, they get the advantage.
In case they needed more help, Blue. In case they needed any help. All right, 5v4. NiP, what's the plan? What are you going to do to come back into this? They're postured towards mid. There could be a boost coming in, trying to make some big plays, but there's still Waylander and Blade creating this crossfire, and they're not even looking at it. The push through upper just came out a little bit late, but they finally trade in effectively, bring them back to this 3v3.
They're going to head B, though, and this is good, too, because we have started to see a bit of uneasiness with Flipside's players in the B-bomb site. Markelov, who was fully committed just a few seconds ago, rotated off, and Shara is taking a big risk being this far pushed out right now. He's going to look for them. They're lining right up, and he gets both of them. Forest and Pit both go down. That kills the hit. Shara, oh no, is caught off switching weapons, but it doesn't even matter. He just killed Freiberg anyway. 13-1, Flipside are destroying NiP.
And you know what? Shara often goes unnoticed. He's one of those players in this lineup that you don't often kind of call out being the guy you've got to keep your eyes on. But he has been an absolute rock at B. And to be able to keep Get Right under wraps, to keep him pressed down, is incredibly impressive. And he's just done it there. Sure, okay, Get Right didn't check that corner. That is not ideal. But then to take the initiative to land those shots is just beautiful to watch. All right, 13-1 NiP. You're getting schooled here. Is it time just to look towards the next map, or can you do anything to turn this one back around? A little bit of a quick flash allows Get Right through, and massive pressure towards mid now. Well done it. You might have to give this one up.
NiP, quick take over towards mid. Exist already sitting up on top of the white boxes now, but no frags initially. Flipside let them have this. They didn't put any defense. They were focusing on the bomb sites. No one going for like the wedge drive either through Z, which is a pretty common tactic when you can get mid control that quickly. So they're going to respect them. They're going to let it hold it, but that could be a problem because now you have World Edit coming in with the op, and well, they got this mid control, but now they just gave it up. They've fallen back because now they know they have to deal with that op presence, and they don't think they can take it.
So, 5v4. Waylander And World Edit still being posted towards A. This is going to be a big hit if it comes in from NiP, and they need to make it quite a quick one as well. Otherwise, your Blade, your Sharas, your Markelovs are going to be there. So, again, World Edit's going to get the drop on this unless they smoke him out, flash him out. There's opportunities here to do this, and it's going to be a bit of everything. Smokes come down, flash come out, but he's completely scot-free. He's not been challenged. It's allowed Waylander from MBK corner to have an absolute whale of a time. That's 2 back-to-back, and now it's World Edit. He gets the first, can't follow up. Freiburg 1v3 to try and redeem some sort of face in this game.
Trying to play it safe, fakes the initial plant there, but all that does is bring Flipside even closer. Thought there was at least one more player present. He can actually spot Shara a little bit further back outside his Z. Takes the duel, actually nicely done, tapping away, finishes off Shara. But now the other two are gonna move in. There's the second kill, hold on now. There might be a glimmer of light for the Ninjas in pajamas here, but Freiburg's at 10 HP, and Blade is playing this back now. He knows he needs to plant this soon. He doesn't realize it, but the snap from Blade comes out, denies the glory from Freiburg and NiP in general, and it's going to be a 14-1 half in the favor of Flipside. They'll be jumping onto the T side in just a few minutes.
Has NiP run out of magic on Cash? That's the big question now. Looking so far, this halftime scoreline is a disaster for NiP, but what a moment of brilliance for Flipside. Turn this one on its head and keeping it at 14-1.
That is the only question left with a 14-1 half, and we can see too the big stars, especially in the mid rounds there in that first half, Waylander and World Edit bringing some crazy firepower there. World Edit didn't die the first on his team once throughout that entire half, and not only this, but just look at the ADRs between the two of them. 150 on Waylander and 127 on World Edit.
And I think that highlights the general control over the map. World Edit, sure, he rotated a fair bit, but he was mostly posted towards B. You had Waylander over by A. They had everything under wraps. So for NiP, this might be a bit of a one and done here, let's be honest. This isn't looking pretty. So 14-1.
There's one thing that could save them.
What?
NiP magic.
Stop it. Stop it.
If that would actually happen, though.
Stop it. It's not Sunday. Nothing is given. All right, we're not doing this. It's 14-1 now. The thing is, the irony being, I've seen NiP almost building comebacks like this. It was, I think, against Fnatic on Dust 2, if I recall correctly. I think it was a 14-1 scoreline, and they brought it back incredibly close. But many a time ago, different games, different complete factor towards it. But I don't know. 14-1 seems almost too tough. It has to be flawless. Simple as that.
Basically, and Flipside have to mess up to a big degree too. Like those performances we were seeing have to drop off entirely. Not only this too, but I mean, it was top heavy, but we were seeing some great stuff from Shara towards the end of it as well. So a lot of the other players starting to step up here too. Pitt, though, is going to find a good start to things, hiding behind the sandbags. Punishes Waylander, who goes for a very aggressive push inside mid.
And you can see the freedom that's going with Flipside. Maybe a little bit careless to a degree, but just taking straight up open fights. They just want to get this one building back, remind NiP of the pressure. I think if they look at the scoreboard, they'll be reminded. But good connection from Shara. Not going to be able to follow on easily as Markov does get caught out by Forest, but Shara's not done. That's two. Spots out the third, not going to get it. Pitt with that USP is looking world class right now.
Blade looking to try and close this out in a 1-on-3. Little does he know, though, Exist is waiting by the headshot glitch. It's going to take him down. Well, it begins.
No.
The long climb.
No, I don't believe.
I didn't say anything. The long climb, winning that pistol round, but now they've got to win 12 in a row to tie it. It's still a possibility of winning this outside of overtime.
This comeback would be about as legitimate as Pro Syndicate, let's be honest. All right, NiP, SMG, rip. SMG's coming out. I remember Get Right saying he was going to be the one player to make the P90 a real buy. Not sure about that one, but we'll see. It's everything now. NiP have to just play, you know, everything out. It's no stop. That's it. So, all right, 14-2. Nice nade, but it's very hard to believe in this. You know, do you believe in Magic the song right now? No, I do not. Simple.
You're doubting it quite a bit. You're gonna like caster curse it if you bring it up too much.
I don't know about that.
Well, we'll get into the swing of things now on this round. Flip side, still having the force to work with here, and Shara as well to note too with the UMP, but still having a bit of trouble kind of getting things going on this round to push in from what looks like A main, and the rest of NiP just spread across evenly, waiting for that hit to begin, basically.
Waiting, 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 ever so patiently. No one overextending, and it looks relatively similar. Quite curious as to how Get Right's going to play this one, right on the edge of the smoke. Really try and lock it down. Give them pretty much all the sight. Allow them to plant, but then play hard on the retake, which will be coming in pretty soon, I can imagine. Again, Exist watching his close left side. He knows that he can push through it. Bomb not going to be planted. Get Right, good timing on that. Follows up well towards Markloff. And, ooh, what did it on the run?
A clothesline coming in from World Edit, but Freiberg coming in to try. He actually doesn't stop the plant, and he's killed by World Edit. And then there's another frag from Shara. All of a sudden, Flipside have the man advantage here. Forrest trying to turn it around. Can't execute Shara. Now he's down at 1 HP. Pitt looks to turn the tables too, but there's another kill from a Glock, nonetheless, I believe, from Shara. And Pitt is going to get decked by World Edit.
I'm done.
So there you go. 15-2 for Flipside Tactics here. Making it through on the second round force-up. NiP, what are you going to do to respond to this now?
There's nothing left to pull out of that hat. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. 15-2 though, as you said. This is back in the hands of Flipside, and NiP just giving enough rope over towards the Flipside team. Just be like, all right, just put it right around my neck. All right, guys, let's just get it over and done with. Let's get into that third map. 15-2, the final throw into this one for NiP. Bearing in mind Mirage would be on the horizon, which is something I'm so excited to see here. But they still have to close this one out, and straight away, well. Waylander, if I can use my words, going to make his way through mid, so going to clear out by the sandbags, but quite quick. You can see the pacing to this. They want to take the fights. They want to get instantly in their faces.
It's the dynamic duo, World Edit and Waylander, that move out quickly in mid. Blade is going to be joining them. They'll open up the vents. They're going to make the hit head towards here. Look at NiP, though. They heard the pressure coming in from mid, and they bid on the rotation hard. Pretty much everybody rotated to defend mid and the A-bomb site. Now they've got to try to get positions back on this site. Forrest with some good shots coming out from heaven is going to find Shar at the very least, but everybody else has been boxed out.
This is, okay, this is back on to some sort of interesting point here. The bomb is down, but there's no room for the retake. There's no one close enough to this. And already Waylander's predicting where Forrest is coming from. Doesn't get the timing right on the peak, so Forrest will get a step closer, and Waylander will back away. He's going to support the others, drop down a smoke. No kits on NiP, so I think this is pretty much done and dusted here. Pitt and Exist just have to face the music, and Pitt, the last man alive with the deagle to hand against 4 players in a bomb plant. Flipside have gone above and beyond. A sick map from them. That first half was an absolute masterclass in how to anti-strat, how to outplay, and how to get themselves through to a third chance here. So map 3 is on the horizon.
And for World Edit Waylander's case, just a pure case of how to kick some ass, to be completely honest there. They showed up to that match big time, bringing some huge plays in. And honestly, it's both of them working together all the time, too, to try and destroy it. So, huge props to Flipside for taking a match against NiP in that strong of a fashion. We're going to be going on to map 3, guys, in just a little bit. Before we get into that, though, we are going to send it to our analysts to talk a little bit more about that. It'll be coming up in just a bit.
Well, it was not something the desk saw coming, and probably a lot of you guys at home didn't see it coming either. Flipside Tactics go ahead and 16-2 the Ninjas on a map that, until recently, they were undefeated on. It's hard to put into perspective, actually, and it's funny, we just before we come on air, Jason says to me, he says, I don't really know how I'm going to talk about this one. Unfortunately, Yanko, the better analyst of all of us.
Quite the NiP slip we just had.
Hey, you.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. But Yanko, you can perhaps start us off with this one.
I mean, this is for me an example where everything went right for Flipside. Yeah. You could see that they were very well prepared for NiP's T-side cash. The thing that was most obvious to me was early on in the half, they mostly had 3 players towards the B bomb side. World added there to try and get a pick with the AWP because they were expecting what NiP does to get that control of the checkers area. Not just get right, but sometimes they just have the rest of the team following him, following suit and just having a full-on execute towards the B bomb side.
Dan, you did kind of brainstorm on the desk that this could go the way of Flipside. I'm assuming you didn't see a 16-2.
Well, yeah, I didn't see the 16-2. Of course, you have to assume that no matter how bad the situation gets from a strategical point of view, from a calling aspect, that the individual skill will be there to at least allow NiP to somehow get some rounds in there. But they just got completely systematically crushed and obviously tilted at certain points in this matchup. And obviously, again, there was a lot of data for Blade to pour over. And again, this is not a pick that NiP ever expected. They expected this map to be banned, right? So that obviously definitely helped them in this situation.
I think you also nailed it spot on that because Cash was such a good map for NiP, and people started banning it against them, that they kind of probably didn't play it as much in practice, and so they didn't implement new stuff. And when the old stuff doesn't work, and also their individual players had a pretty bad game. I mean, I think 12 rounds in, Forest, Get Right, Exist combined had something like 11 kills, while on the other hand you had World Edit and Waylander playing super well.
Forest, Exist, and Get Right ended that match, I think 19 kills combined for the 3 of them, and there were 2 players on the flip side, World Edit and
Waylander.
Waylander, who both had over 20 kills. So there's that. And it's something that we saw actually on Overpass originally. We mentioned that there were some of those tactical outplays by Flipside over NiP, but it was the players like Get Right who got that 4 kill on Overpass, Exist who had like a brilliant play retaking a bomb site on Overpass. You didn't see those plays this time around. And yeah, I mean, that's unreal. Both of them had 130 ADR. That's massive. And it's just, I mean, NiP just gets completely unawares. And even when we went through the map veto, I mentioned that the only reason this is in the pool is if there's something that Flipside knows they can take advantage of it. If like that's the only risk they take, they say, we'll give you the best map that we know you like to play because we prepared specifically for this map and we have a really solid game plan that we're confident in. And they execute it. Now, you obviously don't know it's going to be to that degree, but sure. I mean, that's a really sick performance.
And of course, the map we're going to be talking about in just a moment is Mirage. There is more to be said about Cash, I admit, and perhaps we can cross over into our next segment. But I mean, out of the random maps, Cobblestone, Nuke, and Mirage will remain, and Mirage was the one that was randomly selected. We get to see how that plays out in just a moment. We're going to be taking a quick break. When we do come back, we'll be talking about the final map of just our second game. There's so much more Counter-Strike for you guys to enjoy here for Day 3 at ESL 1 Cologne, so do not go anywhere. We'll be back in 5 with Map 3.